When Sonny King originally developed Peercoin, he had a very specific long-term vision of a network that is designed for maximum decentralization and security. Peercoin's underlying purpose is to provide the ability to store value in an inexpensive to maintain crypto network which prioritizes security, decentralization, and scarcity over speed, low fees, and high transaction volume. This is the definition of a backbone currency.
Beyond the horizon is a vast universe worth exploring. Teeming with life, it explodes in arrays of light and color, defiantly pressing against the void with the persistent whisper, "We exist." What might we find if we but choose to turn our gaze upward? What life exists? What allies might we find if we only look? Welcome to the Block Explorer, where a humble cryptonaut searches the skies. Welcome everybody to another Beyond Bitcoin Hangout. This one is a special one. This is part of the Block Explorer series that I have started, and it is one where I move out to try to cover various other cryptocurrencies in the space. We know that blockchains are powerful, and we know that they're driven by people. So the way that these blockchains are used largely depends on those who choose to use them, and who choose to build them into the future and have the visions of how they will be used. So with that said, we try to approach various communities, and we got lucky enough to be approached this week to talk about Peercoin, which is the first proof-of-stake token to ever exist. Numerous clones have been made about it over, I don't even want to give a number, but I know it's in the hundreds. I know it's in the multiple hundreds. And it started literally many of the things that evolved into things like what we call BitShares today with delegated proof of stake. These are proof of stake variants that exist in the ecosystem. And because of Peercoin's proof of stake protocol, it has opened up many opportunities in the cryptocurrency space. And this is, you guys are very historically significant. So to have a 4th birthday party for you guys is a blessing for us, and it's an amazing thing to be part of. So I greatly appreciate the Peercoin community, especially Intelliguy. This guy has been reaching out and doing a lot of work behind the scenes. PPCMan has been helping out, SentinelRV, and there's a number of other individuals who have been part of putting this together. So I want to thank all of you today for joining us and debuting what it is that you guys do, your philosophies, your beliefs, the hard times, the good times, and the value proposition of Peercoin, last but not least, right? So if you guys could do us a favor and let me know who is going to be stepping up today to talk a little bit on the 4th birthday of Peercoin. Who's going to be taking the step up to the podium first? Oh, and Sonny King, I can't say enough that you're here. It's cool that you have joined us today. I know it's very difficult to get your ninja self to join various places because of your interest in privacy and anonymity. But I definitely do want to say that it's cool to see you here. You were here one other time, as I recall, whenever we early on talked about Peercoin and proof of stake derivatives, probably about 2.5 years ago, somewhere around there, right? Yep, it's part of history to me, man. So it's really kind of stunning that we all sit here and we're part of it, and you don't realize sometimes just how big of a deal that is until you kind of pinch yourself later on. Sonny said thanks, Fuzzy.
Hey, can you hear me?
Perfectly, Sentinel.
All right, sorry about that. I had a little problem.
Oh, you're fine, man. You're fine. So what I was saying is we're at the point where it would be awesome if you would step up to the podium and kind of give whatever statements that you have or anything that you have prepared to discuss. Feel free that go ahead up and do your thing, man.
Okay, well, I first got interested in cryptocurrency. I had been following Ron Paul, and I found out about Bitcoin because of a forum that I was on, Ron Paul forums, and at the time, I think it was early 2013. They were going through the bubble that they had, and that's why I took notice of it.
So you were actually on Ron Paul forums, who is known to be one of the most corrupt politicians. No, I'm joking. who's basically the voluntarist president choice for pretty much all of them, really.
Yeah. I had helped manage like a couple money bombs for them. You know, they raised a couple, what was it, maybe $3 or $4 million, I think. Do you remember the one called Black This Out?
No, I do not. I do remember all these different money bombs going off, though, and they were calling this terrorist activity in the media at the time because they used the word bomb.
Yeah, the one I helped out with, or the main one I helped out with was called Black This Out. It was October 19th. It was the second time that he ran. But what happened? Basically, what we did was the theme of it. It was where the media was ignoring him, and what we did was we blacked out our eyes, put like a black bar across our eyes. That helped spread on Facebook and everything to help let everybody know about the money bomb. Then we raised like $3 million in the end. So it was pretty successful.
I did not know that you were part of the very successful money bombs that scared the crap out of the legacy politicians.
Yeah, I was, but there was a lot of other people who helped out too. I mainly organized the main threads with all the information on it, with like promotional materials and stuff like that. But anyway, what ended up happening was I was introduced to Bitcoin through that forum, and it was going through the bubble at the time. And so I thought, well, instead of investing in Bitcoin, which is already high in price, why don't I look and see what other things were out there? You know, and that's when I came across Peercoin, and I felt that it had a better long-term sustainability model. You know what I mean? And so I put my money in that instead.
And why did you consider it to have a better sustainability model? For those who are not familiar with Peercoin.
Now, I'm not a complete expert on how Bitcoin works, but just from what I read, you know, the mining aspect of it and everything, it felt unsustainable to me. All the energy that was being used, you know, and Peercoin had proof of stake, which Sonny had created, and it you know, it opened up a whole different thing. You know, it completely changed everything. Now you had an energy efficient cryptocurrency, and it could be sustained really cheaply. It felt like it was going to last a lot longer to me.
Well, and what I guess what it seems like is that, from what I heard when Robeers was talking, that in addition to that, the transactions are burned. The fees, to a large degree, are burned, which means that kind of offsets the expansion of the supply.
Yeah, I hear a lot of criticism saying, "Oh, Peercoin, you know, the supply just keeps growing," but they don't take into consideration the fact that if it became really popular to use, you know, people were using Peercoin all the time. They was it Sonny? He built in a mechanism for deflation. You know, Peer coins are burned as a transaction fee, and it could actually go in the reverse direction if enough people were using it and the blockchain had enough use. Like, for example, if peer assets became really popular and there's thousands of DAOs transacting, voting, doing all these different things, it costs Peercoin to burn, in order to do all these things. And that can create a deflation in the money supply.
Actually, quite a bit if you reach the critical mass, right?
Yeah.
So initially it's inflationary until it gets a distribution to the point where enough people start wanting to use it. And then over time, it's expected that as use cases improve and gain more traction, there's going to be more transactions that will be on that network, and that eventually it's going to come to the point where once it reaches that critical mass, all the holders are actually going to find the value of their tokens going up because the supply that exists are going to be consistently dropping because it's reached that critical mass. That's a really cool aspect, and I actually never knew about that with Peercoin, and it's surprising that I didn't, because I've been pretty familiar with Peercoin for quite some time now. Has this been something that's always been the case?
As far as I've been with it, I think it's been there since the beginning.
Wow. That's such a huge thing that a lot of people probably don't know. So somebody's saying, yes, it was here from the very beginning.
Okay. There was something, what was I going to say? I was going to talk about the mining. We did a recent interview with CoinDesk. I don't know if you read it or not, but it was about the effect Bitcoin's had on Peercoin and its supply. And what had happened is that when Bitcoin halved, there's all these miners who suddenly, they drop out. They can't afford to do it anymore. So they put their hashing power into the Peercoin network. And because that happens, Peercoin has kind of like a dynamic reward. And as the hashing power increases, the mining reward decreases. So what will inevitably happen is, as long as Bitcoin keeps going and it's successful, every time it halves, a portion of the mining power that can't be run on that network anymore will go over to Peercoin, which will drive the block reward down. So you'll have less and less mining rewards, and
which will make it more difficult to get.
It'll become more scarce over time.
Interesting. So and it's cool how you guys put all these things, these mechanisms together.
Yeah, it is. I didn't completely understand it when I first got in. I'm still not an expert. I'm trying to learn what I can. But anyway, so we feel that this dynamic model is better than waiting, like, for example, like X number of blocks, and then you just have this big drop off, like a big drop off in mining reward. It just kind of shocks the whole mining industry, where ours is more dynamic. It can go up or down based on the hashing power that is being put into the network. If more is being put into it, the reward would go down. If less, it would go back up.
Just going to qualify some of what he's alluding. The reason what I understand why Peercoin is like, it uses proof of work principally to ensure fair distribution. So if someone on like a monster with a massive powerhouse try and take all of the Peercoin, the reward goes down. So it doesn't suit somebody to do that. So they use proof of work to ensure that it gets fairly distributed, and then it switches to proof so that those that either buy or mine their own Peercoin hold on to them, then they also get rewarded for doing that. Like that's kind of the reason why the reward's dynamic too.
Oh, that's also very interesting, because then it makes it so it's a lot more difficult to attack it.
Yeah, the proof of work part of Peercoin is used only for distribution of new coins. And proof of stake is only used for security. So they're completely separate.
And there's no real incentive to create something like an ASIC in Peercoin. Would that be a correct way of saying it?
Well, I mean, it would still help you, get it would still help you get more Peercoin if you are mining.
But I guess what I'm saying is, if you have more and more people as more and more people put ASICs on there, they're going to be really mining much less. The payouts are going to seem low compared to what they started out at.
Well, it depends on how much hashing power is put to the network, I guess. Yeah, it would reduce over time.
If a good example of that
very
is
interesting.
I was going to say a good example of that is if you go to I think it's D7 or ppcoin.d7.lt. It's one of the main mining pools. And if you look at the hash power, you'll see that the hash power will skyrocket for a little while. And almost everybody feels like when it's that extreme, the rewards aren't worth it. So then all these hash power people leave back to Bitcoin.
Yes.
Again. And so
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, the people keep jumping back and forth. And yes, you can't you can't throw a huge amount of hash power at Peercoin and take all the new Peercoins and totally dominate it, because it self-heals itself.
That's so smart.
Sunny King's, I suspect that's why Sunny King's not really writing anything right now, because we're probably getting it right.
Sonny, are you there? Are you listening to these brilliant Peercoin individuals? He might be typing something extremely long up, but we'll cover it whenever he does say something. So this is actually really smart to me. I'm thinking about this, and I'm stunned that I didn't know about it until this moment when you're talking about it, that it works in such a way that it makes it so it's almost an organic type of way where you say it's not an arms race for ASICs now. It's more, we have to find a happy medium for efficiency of the network. And, there's that sweet spot, but that sweet spot will kind of float depending on the demands of the network.
Yeah, think about it like this. Where Bitcoin is more rigid, Peercoin, because of the dynamic nature of the reward, it can adapt to the market a lot easier, and it's not stuck in one spot.
It does seem like it's very dynamic in the way that this is structured. Real quick, does anybody here have any questions or comments that they'd like to bring up? Because I can talk about this stuff all morning here, but the question is, do any of the people who are joining to participate, do they have anything that they would like to bring in? Because there's a lot that you guys are all experts in your own way. So I love to hear the input from other people who are crypto advocates and crypto nerds, and you guys are among the top of them. Nagilum here says there's the difficulty adjusting every block too. He says, was PPC the first one to do that?
I'm not sure. As I said, I'm not exactly an expert on everything. People like our developers, like Hans or Peer Chemist, they would know a lot more about that than me. I don't know if Sonny is still listening. Sometimes he can be kind of quiet, but he wouldn't. Oh yeah, there he says, I believe so, as far as I remember.
Yeah, because I was going to say it's possible that proof of work coins did that prior to it, but because there was a whole stage during the proof of work where, my God, they came up with like every block reward scheme you could possibly think of, but I don't recall one. I remember things like with random block rewards and where the times would be differentiate, like different at different times, and it was all just like very trivial changes. But this one, actually, I don't recall knowing of one before Peercoin.
I just want to mention something about this. One of the confusions of the crypto and altcoin world has always been that if anybody watched Bitcoin talk from 2012 to 2014, I would say, there were so many new coins coming out, left, right, and center. We all saw them. Some of them were proof of work. Some of them were fake. Some of them were inventing their own algos. And one of the interesting things about that, everyone sold it and marketed it different. But if you looked at every time you download a source code from a new coin, the first thing you do is goes, what's this fork from? Oh, this is script. It's forked from Litecoin, or this is forked from Bitcoin directly, or this is forked from Peercoin. It was really only the three for the longest time that gave birth to like 50 other coins. And so everybody was following the latest coin and saying, oh, look at this. This new altcoin, which is a stake, this new altcoin that is based on proof of stake is basically has a new dynamic thing. And nobody went back to the root of Peercoin, find out that Peercoin actually already had that. It's just they sold it as, as the newest thing.
It was marketing things that for a new coin that may not have been known by the entire crypto community prior to that. So it's like saying we're the first, the proof of stake coin, when actually Peercoin was the first proof of stake coin, and it's obvious that it was a clone of Peercoin, essentially, is what you're saying.
That's right. Like, since Nova Coin came out, Nova Coin, everybody was looking at Nova Coin going, well, this is, and it's not using SHA-256. However, the stake coin based on Peercoin. And so when that first came out, everyone said, oh, that's it. Nova Coin is going to dominate the market. Peercoin has no use anymore. We have a better proof of stake because now you have to use a GPU to mine it. And once people start building ASICs, Peercoin is just going to be left behind because there's going to be 51% attacks and all that kind of stuff. Well, as you know, Nova Coin still exists, quite the same caliber that Peercoin does.
I didn't know that Nova Coin still existed. I mean, I knew that it was traded, but the way I guess I look at something existing is if there's an active community that's passionate about it, because otherwise it's like, to me, there's a big ship in the ocean with a bunch of gold on it, but nobody's manning it, so it's never going to get driven to a shore.
Well, you just hit a very key point, gold. One of the designs, and Sonny can talk about this a little bit more, maybe, is that the idea of Peercoin is that because it's going to lower, it's going to be more scarce as time goes on, as the more it's used. It's going to be considered what is like a backbone currency or something that holds value akin to gold. You know, the more you mine gold, the scarcer it gets. There's a whole nother dimension of why Peercoin was created.
That's actually, I had written something that I wanted to read before I leave for work. So it's about that backbone currency idea. So
please go ahead.
Okay. It's kind of long, though, so I might be talking for a little bit.
That's what this is here for, man.
Okay. After this, I'm probably going to have to get out of here because I can only delay for so long. I was actually already supposed to leave. Okay, so
sorry about that.
All right. There is an aspect to Peercoin that I think a lot of people outside of our community don't realize about Peercoin. A lot of people seem to think that Peercoin is simply a clone of Bitcoin, except that it uses proof of stake to achieve consensus rather than proof of work. But that's not true. The entire philosophy behind Peercoin is completely different. Sonny King designed Peercoin with a different underlying purpose in mind. He designed Peercoin as something he calls a backbone currency. There's this quote I always come back to from Sonny that is from a 2013 interview, and it conveys this idea of what a backbone currency is from his point of view. So here's the quote. Both Peercoin and Primecoin are designed to last. Peercoin is designed with energy efficiency. Primecoin is designed with energy multi-use. Bitcoin has a long-term uncertainty as to whether transaction fees can sustain a good enough level of security. Before that, the main concern is how to balance transaction volume and transaction fee levels. Currently, I get the feeling that Bitcoin developers favor very low transaction fees and very high transaction volume to be competitive against centralized systems like PayPal, Visa, and MasterCard in terms of transaction volume, to the point of sacrificing decentralization. This also brings major uncertainties to Bitcoin's future. From my point of view, I think the cryptocurrency movement needs at least one backbone currency or more that maintains a high degree of decentralization, maintains high level of security, but not necessarily providing high volume of transactions. Thinking of savings accounts and gold coins, you don't transact them at a high velocity, but they form the backbone of the monetary system. Pure proof of work systems such as Bitcoin are not 100% suitable for this task. This is because the transaction fee is not a reliable incentive to sustain the network security. If the mining generation amount is kept constant, it would work better security-wise, but then it would also significantly weaken the scarcity property of the currency. Primecoin's inflation model is designed in such a way that it could serve as a backbone currency better than Bitcoin if needed, because it could maintain high security reliably for longer, with reasonably good scarcity property as well. Of course, that's only from an architect's point of view. Whether or not it would be chosen by the market is a whole different matter. Peercoin is designed to serve even better as a backbone currency. The proof of stake technology in Peercoin is not only energy efficient, it also maintains a high level of security without relying on the transaction fee. Thus, Peercoin could be safely designed with strong scarcity property, yet serving well as a backbone currency. Both Peercoin and Primecoin use protocol-enforced transaction fees, which reflects my preference that high transaction volume is discouraged in favor of serving as backbone currencies. Right now, if we are talking about micropayments in the US $1 range, both Peercoin and Primecoin still handle them with much lower overhead than credit card networks. In the long term, micropayments should be provided by centralized providers or a less decentralized network optimized for high-capacity transaction processing. On the other hand, there is no promise that minimum transaction fee wouldn't be adjusted. If processing capacity of personal computers continues to advance at the current pace, both max block size and minimum transaction fee could very well be adjusted at some point. However, I do take a very cautious approach to adjusting transaction fees as opposed to Bitcoin developers. The impact to the fitness of the currency as a backbone currency is of great concern to me. That's the end of the quote. Now, my interpretation of that quote is that when Sonny King originally developed Peercoin, he had a very specific long-term vision of a network that is designed for maximum decentralization and security. Peercoin's underlying purpose is to provide the ability to store value in an inexpensive to maintain crypto network which prioritizes security, decentralization, and scarcity over speed, low fees, and high transaction volume. This is the definition of a backbone currency, at least what Sonny King is trying to say. The block size debate taking place in the Bitcoin community is ultimately about whether Bitcoin should focus on decentralization and security or sacrifice it all in order to become a payment network capable of competing with the likes of Visa. With Peercoin, Sonny specifically designed it to focus on the former rather than the latter. A network that maintains a high degree of decentralization, maintains a high level of security, but not necessarily providing a high volume of transactions. The fixed fee per kilobyte ensures that transaction spam and blockchain bloat are prevented, and it's one of the main reasons why Peercoin's blockchain is still less than 400 megabytes in size after over 3.5 years of operation, compared with Bitcoin's blockchain, which is now around 80 gigabytes in size. Being a backbone currency that is focused on store of value rather than transaction volume, however, doesn't mean that Peercoin can't be used this way as well. If we look back to Sonny's quote, in one of his sentences, he said this: "In the long term, micropayments should be provided by centralized providers or a less decentralized network optimized for high capacity transaction processing." Basically, I think what he's trying to say is that a decentralized censorship-resistant blockchain is suitable for safe and secure storage of value, while a centralized or less decentralized off-chain solution is better for transactions due to high performance and low fees. This means that Sunny designed Peercoin from the beginning, knowing that off-chain networks such as open transactions or the Lightning Network would become very important in the future as a way to carry the majority of transaction volume. Peercoin can work in conjunction with these off-chain networks in order to provide a solution for instant micropayments, at the same time still preserving its fundamentals as a vehicle for decentralized wealth storage. While Bitcoin and other cryptos fall victim to blockchain bloat and centralization, attempting in vain to become payment networks for microtransactions, Peercoin will continue to focus on creating the most decentralized and secure network possible for storing value.
Thank you very much, man. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or Sentinel, do you have anything that you would like to impart upon everybody before you do have to head out?
The only thing that I didn't really include was Intelliguy. He had brought up the fact that Peercoin is almost like digital gold. I know that people like to say that Bitcoin is digital gold, but I think the Peercoin does a much better job at it.
One of the reasons he writes this out is because there's so many cogs in the wheel of Peercoin. It takes a long time to really appreciate and understand it. So him writing his thoughts out in ahead of time means he's not going to miss a key point.
All right. I just found a post that I had written. I haven't read it ahead of time, so I'm hoping this is the right one. All right. I said, Bitcoin is not a suitable digital replacement for gold because of the amount of expended energy required to mint new coins and maintain network security. In addition to its unsustainability issues with proof of work consensus, Peercoin, on the other hand, requires enough energy through its proof of work process to bring newly minted coins into existence, but it behaves more similar to gold when it comes to the lower cost of actually maintaining its security through proof of stake. In comparison, it's slow, difficult, and hard work to extract gold, similar to proof of work. Security from theft is a concern, but in comparison with extraction, little effort is required to actually maintain gold and secure its value, similar to proof of stake. In contrast, there is a large cost to simply maintain Bitcoin security, which diverges from the small cost of just simply maintaining the security of gold. The low maintenance cost will mean Peercoin wins out in the end as a digital replacement for gold.
We've talked about this quite a bit in our community over the past probably 2.5 years, because one of the biggest things is that you have these different networks that A, they need to scale, but B, they need to also be efficient. And though Bitcoin mining is a very cool gamification kind of technique to introduce people to the blockchain, on a large scale, a lot of us question if, having things like off-chain transactions and stuff like that, how this is going to reach that scale without a certain level of extra efficiency. And you're right, whenever you introduce burning all this energy into the process, you're introducing essentially another thing, something else that's going to be a cost, that is going to be a persistent cost. And that persistent cost is going to add persistent pressure to any business that's trying to operate. And a blockchain as a service is the exact same thing, right, as a business in many regards. So it is a very salient point that I think that everybody should walk away with and ask themselves about. And it's not because of a dislike for Bitcoin. It's just the question, are these things going to end up being extremely important? And I argue that that they are going to be important, because you can always see that efficiency becomes something that's extremely important. And if you don't take the efficient path, then competitors will. And it's only a matter of time until one of those competitors gets traction and has solutions you do not have. So, it's an interesting thing to bring up.
Yeah, I mean, by no means, I don't hate Bitcoin at all. I mean, it's a great innovation. I just think that there's networks that have created better, more efficient ways of doing it. On our website, peercoin.net, we have this quote. It says, Peercoin seeks to be the most secure crypto coin at the lowest cost by rewarding all users for strengthening the network. It's like, cost and efficiency. We want to be the lowest cost to securing the network.
And those who are participating in the network are most likely staking their coins as well. So they're going to have a consistent incentive to continue working for the ecosystem, because rather than in like an ecosystem like BitShares where those things are voted on, you're essentially getting those votes for yourself. So if you invest a lot into the system, then you're likely to be continuing to try to drive more value into it. The incentive is there. I have to admit, it's a very simple and elegant solution that really shakes the world of crypto whenever Peercoin was launched. Let's just say it. Does anybody have any comments for Sentinel before he has to head out?
Well, I have a comment in general. This is Chronos.
Yeah.
It's nice to see you, man.
Yeah, it's been a while. So I just like to talk a little bit about my experience with Peercoin. When I first found out about Peercoin, it was much newer than it is now. In fact, if you looked at the top coins by market cap, it was Bitcoin was number 1, Litecoin was number 2, and Peercoin was number 3. And those were coins. They were used like currencies in the sense that you weren't buying into a company. And I think that those 3 still stand out as cryptocurrencies as opposed to like crypto stocks. Because if you look at the top coins today, a lot of them are actually companies that are issuing stock. For example, Steemit and many others, if you look at the list, they're actually teams behind there, who have a majority stake or a large stake that are working on the coin. So I think that Peercoin really stands out as, instead of being a company, it's more of a technology. You're investing in the blockchain itself as opposed to a specific team of people.
Which is very interesting way of looking at it. I guess because Sonny being so intent on anonymity, because the fact he's there and he's part of the community, but anonymous, makes it tough for people to kind of like say this is the only leader of Peercoin. So a lot of people feel like they have to don the mantle of being a leader themselves, it feels like. I mean, that's at least what I see. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But that is kind of how I see it. Like, the fact that he did that, it was almost like calling out to people saying, become a leader here.
Yeah, in my view, I've been watching the community closely, and he has taken more of a Satoshi role where he set it up and kind of let it be, as opposed to a leader who develops. Because to be honest, Peercoin development is very slow. And there have been very few changes since it's been stable. So it's really not like a developing company. He's just kind of let it loose and kind of watched it, in my opinion.
Yeah, let me say something here. I mean, it did get pretty slow for a while there. Nubits had, you know Nubits, right?
Yep.
It had started out of our community and went on to become its own thing, and it sucked a lot of our talent away from our community. And recently the dollar peg for Nubits collapsed, so that didn't help. But I actually was in it a lot more than Peercoin while it was functioning. And since it collapsed, I've come back, and I think I've realized my mistake of getting in with that. But anyway,
well, you have a place where you can come back to and reset up and establish. Because one thing that I think that anybody who's been in cryptocurrency for any amount of time and actually has been active will tell you is they have learned so many lessons, and so many times those lessons, they require the experience of what many would call quote unquote failure, right? But it's only failure if you give up and if you don't learn from the mistakes. So, this is why it's so important to have a community like you guys, because you're licking your wounds to a degree, but do you think that there aren't going to be things next time that you're going to say, oh, I need to remember this, and this? All these different things from this experience are things that I'm going to carry with me into the future, and it's only going to help the community and the technology because I'm going to be a stronger participant in that network.
Yes, it certainly gives you a lot of experience being involved with, the ups and the downs with all these different projects. I mean, now that new bits isn't really a factor anymore unless they can solve their problems, it seems to me that Peercoin is starting to come out of its period of lack of innovation. I mean, what was it? Maybe several months ago, Sunny released the version 0.5 of the protocol, which allowed like op return and other things. Since then, it seems that more people have been getting drawn back, especially developers. We haven't really had that many developers. It's just really been maybe Sunny, and there's somebody named Sigmike and some others. Sunny is usually the main one keeping up the code, though. But now, like Chronos was saying, he's basically created this thing, this whole network, and now other people can step up and lead. And we have people doing that now. I mean, there's over the past month or two, we've had people stepping up from where they used to be and taking charge and starting projects. Hans was talking about Peer Assets earlier. He has a web wallet being created called Peerkeeper. You got all these different things. It's like a team starting to come together that will push the network forward so we can gain some momentum again.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a lot of the people have probably licked their wounds. Are a lot of these people coming back from new bits, or are these new people filtering in, or how does that demographic play out?
Well, it was mainly me with new bits. Some other community members are still there trying to fix the issues. The developers such as Peer Chemist, he never left. He's always been a dedicated supporter of Peercoin. He's the one who came up with the idea for Peer Assets. Other people are new, such as Hans Robeers. He said he just really got into Peercoin. He was with Bitcoin, and he's new. There's somebody named Savor It. I don't know if he will speak later or not. He said he might. He has a new website called peercoinwisdom.com that's under development, and he knows a lot about Peercoin's economic model and how like affects inflation and like all the stuff that we were talking about earlier. But yeah, it's the majority of the people that are new, and the majority of the people that are developers now that are coming together, they're mainly either they stayed with Peercoin, or they're new people that are being drawn to it.
Yeah, and it is kind of in that place where it's almost like a Doge or a Litecoin, where because it's different from both of those in terms of being the first proof of stake crypto, it also has that staying power that they have in the eyes of a lot of people. It looks like Nagelum is saying that Chinese exchanges have started picking up PPC a lot recently as well. What were you saying?
I said that the exchange volume in China has been picking up, they said. What did Sunny say? hrobeers is probably new. He's talking about Hans, talking about Peer Assets.
Yeah, and he was talking a little bit. He's the one who actually created the Peer Assets, correct?
It was actually Peer Chemist who came up with the idea. He has
But he's the one developing it.
Well, Peer Chemist came up with the idea, and Hans is helping him with it, with like the implementation. I think I'm not sure who exactly is going to be developing. I think it might be Peer Chemist, or they might be helping each other. I'm not really involved with development. I mainly manage the forum and our social media and things like that.
But you're saying that it seems like they're a two-man team working on this project. And this project sounds like it's pretty cool, especially when it's almost like a layer that goes on top of any blockchain that wants to use it.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it superior to all the other asset implementations, right? I mean, because the other ones, they're all hard-coded into the blockchain, I think. And whereas this one, it can be applied to any blockchain. so more people can use it.
Qualify that is like.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Qualify that like Next has an asset exchange, but in order to use it, you have to own Next to be able to bring money in and out of it. And I think BitShares is trying to do it more with gateways and stuff, but it is important to own some BTS when you're first trying to buy an asset or something. Peer assets won't require you to own Peercoin, even though it's using Peercoin as its chain to build on top of. If I got that right.
Now, do you have to pay fees in Peercoin?
Yeah. You will need to own Peercoin in order to transact with the assets. Like if you were to send them to somebody, you pay Peercoin as the fee, which it burns Peercoin, which helps reduce the supply. So there's different things, you can
still cool.
You can buy Peercoin and distribute it as dividends. Say a company starts on the Peercoin blockchain and they make money and they distribute Peercoin back to their investors. I think that would help increase buy demand on exchanges when people do that, or companies, and it would also cost money to cost Peercoin and burn fees in order to do that. And then there's also voting, I believe. Is it shareholder voting?
Is that from various assets? So like if you hold an X asset, you can vote on X issues?
I don't want to say the wrong thing because I'm not an expert on it. Say an individual starts a company and they need investors. So they create a bunch of assets and they advertise what their company is going to do. And then they find these investors and they give the guy funding and he ends up giving them the Peer assets. And they hold those assets. And if the company makes money, he can then distribute the Peercoin back to the asset holders, the original people who invested in the company. And then those assets can be traded on exchanges or anything. And the asset holders, since they're owners of the company, they can use decentralized voting. And like say they need to figure out the direction their company is going to take. They can hold a vote and every shareholder would place their votes on what they want to see happen. And every time they would do that, that would be a transaction fee to burn Peercoin.
Real quick, and I don't mean to change the subject, but are you going to get fired for this Peercoin birthday party?
No, I told him about that I might be in late, but I probably should be getting going.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off because you are doing an excellent job, but Intelliguy just brought it up in chat, so I figured, because I know these things, when we have these hangouts, it's so easy to stay here for literally hours. Like, I'm certain that there are a group of people in here who could also agree that they would stay here all day if everybody was here every day to talk and there was no responsibilities in the real world, or all we had to do was just the time to sit around and talk about cryptocurrency. I think that we would do it nonstop. So an hour seems to go by so quickly. So I didn't want to get you in trouble because you're staying out talking about this for too much longer than you need to. But I do want to say that you guys are more than welcome to come in here and actually talk about and represent Peercoin. This is something I think would be awesome to see. Also, we got a Peercoin room up there. If you guys ever want to get everybody together and do your own hangouts and record it and post it and make a little bit of money on steemit too, more than willing to help you out with that stuff. But I don't want to get you fired. I want to help you. So, let me know, man, if you guys got to go.
Well, I probably should go, but I actually thought I was going to have trouble finding something to talk about, which is why I wrote something down. Anyway, yeah, I'll let somebody take over from here. You're going to be posting this, right? Or recording it and posting it later so I can listen to the rest?
Yes. I'm here to help you guys and to help the crypto community and in general evolve. And the BitShares people have just been there from the very beginning to help us to get this to where it is. So they will generally always be foaming at the mouth listening to other cryptocurrency communities coming on here too.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. I think Nagalum
Yeah, you enjoy work tonight, man, and thank you for showing up. And I definitely want to hear more about this stuff, and maybe we can find ways of working with the Peercoin community too.
Yeah, before I go, one thing, if anybody likes what they heard about Peer Assets or PeerKeeper or any of the other projects, I recently wrote a newsletter which contains donation links if you would like to support the projects. All you would have to do is go to our forum at peercointalk.org, and under the board Peercoin discussion, there is a thread called Peercoin Newsletter, The Rebirth of Peercoin, and it'll list intros, like summaries of each project, and it'll have a donation link where you can donate some funds to help development if you want to, if you find it useful or valuable. Well, thank you for having me on.
Thank you. And Sentinel, make sure to cross-post those to Steemit if possible, because there are a lot of people who are into cryptocurrencies here who have a little bit of stake there. And I can tell you right now, that's something that I would love to see underneath the Peercoin tag, but with BeyondBitcoin added. And I would support you guys regardless, but if I see it in the BeyondBitcoin tag section, I will upvote anything that's decent content in there, as long as people actually, put effort into it.
In fact, Peercoin can clone steemit.com and become a portal for the Steem blockchain and call itself Peerit.
This is true. Man, yeah, we'll have to talk to you guys about some of those things.
Yeah, I'll talk to PPCMan about that later tonight. Okay, I gotta go. I'll see you guys.
Intelliguy, you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Brindle made a good point, actually. There's a means to essentially white label. You could have a Peercoin website where all the content from Peercoin community goes to a Peercoin tag and shows up on that front end website where people could actually join Steemit and upload all your content, and all the people who are supporting Peercoin could get paid.
The only question that I need to have answered at some point is, how is Google going to index this content if it's duplicated in two different places? For instance, say you have a website and you're a thief, a content thief, and you go and you say, you know what, that website is attracting a lot of hits. Say it's about motocross or go-karts or something, and you want to get advertising dollars. What a lot of people would do in different countries is they would go and basically download a copy of somebody else's website, put it up on their own, and then try and put a whole bunch of reciprocal links to it and get people to get the main website. Google saw this was happening with content theft, and it was showing up actually. Some people were doing it to their own site, saying, well, I'm going to have 5 different multiple copies of my own sites under different domains, and that way in the search engine rankings, Google's going to show my site 5 times because I have 5 different domains with 8% similar content, but either way, it's all me. And so Google now will go through, and if it finds content somewhere, it will index the first reiteration that it's crawled, and then ignore all the others. So it actually can field you a lot less organic hits, if you will. So it's a search engine optimization problem that I haven't seen the explanation.
I honestly don't know how that would work in terms of, like, you're saying essentially, let's say somebody else creates BeyondBitcoin site and covers the same material that's on Steemit, that's on BeyondBitcoin's website rather.
Well, it's the same thing that Steemit's going through right now. If somebody writes a post, somebody rips that content before it gets popular, and then people start upvoting the wrong content. It requires a whale to come by or multiple minnows to downvote the stolen property. That happened with me and Stella's post on the Steemit glossary. And we solved that because the community had to get behind it.
Yeah, there's also reputation. So I think that what you'll see, at least in that area, you're going to see that various people will be caught doing that stuff. There are bots that kind of already check for content being duplicated, like the cheetah bot. And what happens is it will notify people, and people have actually fallen in love with that little cheetah bot. I know I have, because if I see it, I will then go and look to see which post was first. And if the other post is first, I will actually have no qualms with flagging it. And if you flag somebody's content when they're sharing somebody or stealing somebody else's content, then their reputation goes down. And the likelihood that people will upvote them is a lot lower, because when people see a low reputation on somebody, they're going to think it's a pretty high risk to upvote them or any of their content, because the likelihood is that no one else is going to. So it forces them to kind of build that reputation. But I don't know if that changes anything in terms of the stuff with Google.
Right. One of the things I think that we should make a valiant effort for at this present moment is that Sunny King is in the room. If anybody knows much about Sunny King, he's constantly busy and he only comes out for a little break here and there to be able to associate with the community or to correct something that's severely wrong with the chain. I don't know what he does in his spare time, but I'm thinking he's doing all kinds of stuff. So if anybody has any particular questions for Sunny, let's take the time now to do that.
Does anybody here have any specific questions?
Just like to know if he's really studied bit shares and graphene, and if there's some technology there that he might want to apply, and just what his general opinion of it is.
He says, not very familiar, but understand it's also a proof of stake system. Chronos Crypto is asking, at Sunny, simple question, do you own any Peercoin? That is a very simple and powerful question. He said, of course. 10%? Like Satoshi?
The good news is that Peercoin didn't come out as an ICO or a pre-mine.
Yeah. You know, for those of us who have been here from the very, very early days of Bitcoin, you have certain tokens that really represent milestones to you, or at least I do. And I can admit that Peercoin is definitely one of them. As a matter of fact, I want to work with the Peercoin community in various ways as well. Okay, I've got a question for you, Sunny. Are there any cryptocurrencies that you have looked at that you think are really cool?
And it's no fair saying Primecoin. That's not allowed.
Yeah. Primecoin, though, is cool. Though somebody did tell me that finding the prime numbers didn't have a use case that was very valuable. I guess that would be another question that I would have to ask him if he agrees with that or disagrees with it, because Primecoin is a very interesting example. He says, I kind of look at any network trying to do technical innovation. Are there any that come to mind? I would imagine ETH would be one of them. BitShares is probably one of them because of your past connections and talking with us. What are there any other ones that are interesting?
I mentioned Gridcoin, if you had an opinion about Gridcoin.
That's another cool one. Really? So Ripple is that interesting to you, huh? He says plus Ripple and Ethereum probably. Gridcoin, yes, it was a very early, it's actually about 10 years old. The only difference is that Gridcoin itself, I don't think it's been mined for that long. Yeah, Gridcoin was added on to another project that was kind of a distributed computing project through MIT. Yep, the BOINC protocol.
I kind of understand why Sunny was talking about Ripples, because Ripple was also pretty innovative with what its concept was. It just, I don't know what it's doing now, but it kind of was taking the world by storm, and then I don't know what it's.
Oh, would you say, Sunny, that it is? He says, yeah, I remember it as a competitor to Primecoin. Do you consider that the case? Because I don't know, are they doing something that has a BOINC project for finding the largest prime numbers? If so, I wasn't aware of it. Oh, Prime Grid, huh, interesting. Erkin says, there are several BOINC projects which are whitelisted for usage on Gridcoin. Yes, and Sunny's saying, point is these tokens were both energy multi-use. Oh, go ahead, sorry, Erkin.
Well, there are several BOINC projects. If Prime Grid is bad or SETI or something, there are other projects that can be used. For example, like a project by IBM, World Community Grid, which does medicine research, several projects in one. There are like 30 or more whitelisted projects one can use as a counting mechanism for earning grid coins.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so Sunny, with what you're saying, then you are saying Primecoin has a competitor that is using BOINC, But I guess this brings a question to me is, have you ever thought about other potential cases for creating a coin that does work that is actually considered valuable in addition to securing the network? Have you thought of any other ones that, in addition to Primecoin, could be good use cases, essentially? Sonny's saying, right, though Primecoin is focused on proof of work as a consensus algorithm. Yeah, so I guess my question is, have you thought of any other use cases that might utilize proof of work? Or are you saying that you think that proof of stake is better for that? You talk about energy multi-use, right? And what you're saying, I guess, is, and I'm assuming here, is when somebody is mining, they're doing something else of value. So they're securing the network and allowing transactions to go through. But in addition, they're doing something like finding the largest prime number in the case of Primecoin. And I'm wondering, do you see any other use cases for individual proof of work blockchains? Or are you thinking that proof of stake blockchains would be the best places to do those things? Okay, so you're saying that POS is likely a better choice for, are you thinking in terms of more expansive and complex solutions, or do you think that proof of work just overall is not going to be efficient enough? Or because it seems like the underlying thing for you is the efficiency. Yeah, there are always people who are choosing to spend the energy. That's true.
Well,
you see, this is one of the things that has always interested me. And it's actually one of the things that got me interested in Primecoin. It's actually one of the things that got me interested in Gridcoin. Was there are places where cryptocurrencies, that blockchains can actually be used to distribute tokens in other meaningful ways. It's almost like a gamification database that allows us to take humans out of the equation in terms of ruling an ecosystem, right? We don't have to worry about some one person getting corrupted and destroying the entire thing. We have something that is that offers us the ability to give everybody a stake in projects that help humanity and also share in the benefits, because those become valued. The tokens in those ecosystems become valued based on the value they produce. So it's like you can print paper now, but people still dig gold. Yeah, that is entirely true. Though I guess we could argue that it's used for industrial purposes, so we're kind of forced to. But maybe I'm wrong on that.
Well, hi. Well, one point about proof of stake and proof of work difference is that proof of stake gives more, or one aspect more, to balance. Yeah, the rich people get richer. In proof of work systems, the people who have the best hardware get richer. Yeah. So
yeah, and the hardware is usually used, requires money too, though, right?
Exactly. So it proof of stake and proof of work, you could say, make the richer richer. Yeah. So, but in the end, all coins are basically only about the monetary aspect. There are some coins, yeah, which give additional benefit. For example, like Shadow Coin. They implement secure messaging system, yeah, or Namecoin, where you can save stuff on the blockchain, and other coins can do that too. But with Namecoin, you can do that very easily. A newbie could do it also fast. Yeah. So these are benefits to the normal monetary system for some coins. Yeah. Yeah, and well, yeah. I don't know, and Gridcoin and specifically Gridcoin, at the end of the day, it helps research. There are projects which, as I said before, do like medicine stuff or astronomy stuff, or for example, just like prime numbers. Yeah, but it helps really some how to say people, or at least academics, yeah, to support their research. And perhaps some other people could also share their experiences. What other benefit coins bring besides monetary aspects?
Sunny's saying that proof of stake is probably the best route for utilizing to distribute a token for things like that. So I kind of am curious. You seem like you're from the Gridcoin community, and this is a Peercoin kind of hangout. So if we're looking at what Sunny's saying here, do you guys agree with that, or do you guys feel like there's... Go ahead.
I agree. I agree fully with Sunny. Proof of stake is better than proof of work. Gridcoin also uses proof of stake, yeah? So it's not that. I agree on that point very fully with Sunny. Yeah, and there are also other proof of stake coins like Blackcoin and so, yeah, they go a good way. But proof of stake has also disadvantages, yeah? Well, sure. But I agree in general, proof of stake is better than proof of work. But at the end of the day, it makes the richer, just that.
Well, and one thing that I can say is that Sunny mentioned that, the multi-use. So it's using the proof of work for multiple things. Now, I can see that as being beneficial too, in addition to the mining, because he is kind of right when he says that people print paper money, but there's still people who want that gold, right? So there are going to be people, and there's a very large contingent of them, I would rather say, who are proof of work only and very much maximalists in that area. So I find myself wondering if if there are other use cases that we could use proof of work for, kind of like what Primecoin is doing. I know of protein folding, but I was kind of curious if he had ever kind of thought about it. Partially because I wonder if if he ever creates one, I'll probably buy in. But that's kind of beside the point. But that was kind of the direction I was taking it, just to see what he thought.
Did you on a takeoff of that, because we're asking Sunny basically on other coins and different things that he's interested in. I was asking him about BitUSD through BitShares, which is basically, from what I understand, a tokenized asset that tracks the US dollar. And then you should be able to hold BitUSD and cash it in and out via BitShare gateways, so that preserves its value in relation to it. I was asking Sunny if he believes that Peercoin should have a tokenized version of that asset on BitShare's backbone currency in a virtual world, because fiat isn't all that stable in my mind. So should we be creating a Bit PPC tokenized asset that tracks the future backbone currency as Sunny sees it?
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Well, I know that Peercoin is one of the ones that I would consider to be one of the ones I would like. I'm a little bit of a biased party, I think.
One of the reasons I bring that up is until now, it feels like Peercoin is its own separate camp, and it really shouldn't.
Oh, I tend to agree with you. I mean, you guys are where a lot of this stuff started. So it's like, once you get communities together and you get them to take down their banners and you go on the merits and the experience, you realize that there are a lot of people who we should be working with. And the coin that we hold in our pocket is only a very small part of why we should be doing that.
By the way, in aid of the celebration of the 4th year Peercoin anniversary, I want to mention also that one of the interesting things that I found is that the altcoin mess, where we had over 200 altcoins, 300 altcoins, a lot of these coins have disappeared because they haven't been able to keep up, which is bringing us back to the root coins. I'll call it a root coin, if you will. Peercoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin. Coins are starting to shine now, and we should take a better look at them now that the excitement is starting to, I don't know how to word it.
Does Litecoin actually have anything to offer these days?
I don't think it has anything to offer. That's a biased opinion, but I think that what it does do is it shows that's the one of the things that are confusing a lot of people. They're like, Peercoin is falling in its coin market cap. Well, by design, it's supposed, I'll qualify that statement. I can create an ICO coin and pre-mine it with 1 billion coins, and then I can throw it on an exchange, offer it for 5 cents, and all of a sudden I Peercoin down another level just because I have more coins in circulation. Peercoin is losing the amount of coins in distribution based on the burn transactions. That's why we don't show as many coins. And you do an exact equation of, well, there's this many coins created, and these are what they're trading at.
Did that answer the question for you, Brindle?
I'm still thinking that you want it to grow and become a major part of the world currency. So the market cap, you want to get bigger.
No, the market cap is actually a false calculation. It's something that's at a glance gives you an idea of how well a coin is doing, but it's actually not an actual real number. I did a post on Peercoin, or sorry, PPCMan did a post on Peercoin Talk that I read very well. And he basically, coin market cap is not a suitable way of determining the actual coin, how well it is doing, because they're inflated numbers. And that caused the Peercoin Talk member list to modify coin market cap so that at the top you can choose pre-mined coins versus mineable coins versus different things like that. And there's a lot of options at the top of the page of coin market cap that nobody uses.
Yeah, that's true. There are many various ways of looking at a cryptocurrency, and because it's the most simple way of looking at something on the surface, most people who do not understand the value of things like liquidity oftentimes do look at just the market cap of something as the sell-all.
I remember when it first came out, Ripple was announced, and this is after Peercoin was out or something, because they were just planning it and building it, but they finally launched it or something. And Ripple immediately shot to number 2 on the list. And they had like 1 billion pre-mined coins out. And everybody goes, look at that. That's the new Peercoin. That's going to be like the new store of wealth. That was really wrong.
Yeah, they did some interesting accounting tricks that ended up valuing them at a very high price. And as you can see, after they did that, it almost helped them reach a critical mass that was necessary to just stay there, despite the fact that getting there, those accounting tricks really didn't belie anything that was the best thing in the world. Of course, Sonny might disagree with me on this, but I think that it's interesting that there are other tokens out there that exist that do as many things as Ripple does and better in a lot of ways, that have nowhere near that market cap. But because of those accounting tricks, I call them, you see that they reached that point where it's hard to really bring them down. But you're saying that Peercoin has some other benefits that a lot of people don't see. So if you don't mind, are there a few of these that you're talking about, like if you're looking on coin market cap, that if people look at it, Peercoin is one of the top ones? Any different metrics like that?
I don't fully understand how coin market cap is meant to be read in the way that I will give you an example. I will look at the top, say, 10 or 15 coins, like most will do, and you see like it's almost like a steemit post, what's trending now. But then if you look down the far right column, you'll see the amount of money that's actually being transacted. And I think Peercoin on a given day will be in the 50,000 neighborhood mark.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you'll see some other junior coin that's in like spot number 5. And they got like 1 million coins out, and they just went from 1 cent to 2 cents. And all of a sudden that shows a 200% increase and a big chart uptick. So that confused a lot of people into going, well, look at that coin. It's really moving. No, it's not. It went from 1 cent to 2 cents on like 3 exchanges, and it's a brand new coin.
Don't you think that one of the things that are valuable about things like these Hangouts is that most of the marketplace, the people who are consumers who are trying to buy into these various tokens, they really don't understand the marketplace. So they kind of are more susceptible to really high quality marketing with very little maybe to back it up. Whereas there are other token ecosystems that are rock solid foundations, or at least have proven to be very close to that, but they don't have the glitter and the glitz that a lot of these marketing campaigns bring to new ICOs. But these people fall for the ICOs because it's so flashy.
You just said a mouthful right there that I stand behind every word that you just said.
Well, then, Intelliguy, I could say that's why you come here, because you obviously understand this stuff on the same level that most of us do. And thank you, Chronos Crypto, for showing up, man. You're a keystone to a couple communities, aren't you?
Yeah, I like to say that I'm everywhere.
Well, you know, when blockchain technology makes you foam at the mouth, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, I've already talked all my friends' ears off, so I'm a little quieter now than I used to be.
Well, luckily, and this is what I always tell people who join up here, is when you're joining here, you're surrounded automatically by a bunch of people who you could sit and talk about blockchains literally for days. So
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about people rolling their eyes whenever you talk about transaction volume or the power of decentralized currencies.
Yeah, for sure. One last thing before I go, I want to give another shout out just to the Peercoin community and peercointalk.org. Like I mentioned, I've been around that community for a long time, and it's a very healthy, friendly community. I've seen communities kind of get mad and get a lot of infighting when things go badly, but that community has been very friendly through good times and bad times. So I'd highly recommend go checking them out, simply because they'll be happy to welcome you, and there's not a lot of drama that you see among some crypto groups. So it's a good place.
It's a good place for people who are interested in long-term, it seems like, because the community really supports and cares about it. And let's face it, pumps and dumps are pretty hard whenever you've got a community that really gives a crap about a coin and doesn't want it to have a bad image.
Yeah, it's quite a different community because it's not centered around get rich quick. A lot of people show up because they think if they buy this token, it'll make them fabulously rich. And that's not Peercoin. You know, you don't buy Peercoins, you can get fabulously rich. And so that kind of keeps that crowd out a little bit. It's less interesting to them, and that distills the quality to a much higher level.
To qualify that, Chronos, would you agree that if you had bought Bitcoin when it was 25 cents and kept onto it, you would have been fabulously rich? Versus if you buy Peercoin at this current price, 10 years from now, it might actually show where it's supposed to go?
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's certainly possible to become fabulously rich with Peercoin or many other cryptos. The difference, though, is the focus of the community. People aren't there to do that. And it's funny because that happens more often when people aren't expecting it. If everyone's just piling in so that, you know, they can sell to the greater fool, then that's not going to work. So it's actually more likely
that's not bringing value.
Exactly. More popular coins are actually less likely to have that happen because those wannabe guys who are just there to get rich aren't crowding around. So they're not there to leave. So it's really just a core value that's left with Peercoin. So, you know, I would recommend it over a lot of other coins for that purpose, simply because that's not the message, which is counterintuitive. I'm giving this message because it's not the message, but that's the way the world works.
Well, yeah, it is interesting because you're right. When people come together for a bigger vision and they don't focus on the money, they're actually taking a power away from that incentive, that monetary incentive, and looking at something that's deeper and more important on a human level. And whenever you do that, the likelihood that you're going to tap into something that just so happens to be extremely valuable to humanity is a lot higher. And guess what? Whenever you tap into a gold vein for humanity, you're going to make money, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So I completely agree.
Well, it's been awesome to talk to you, Chronos. I don't know what you've got to do, but I'm assuming that you are probably getting some work done too. So I will thank you for showing up and being a representative for Peercoin today.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. It's a lot of fun. So I'll see you guys around.
Bye, man. Oh, Nagom says, we love you, Sonny. So make a blushy little emoticon.
Sonny says, just want to say you guys make me proud to see so much support on Peercoin's 4th birthday. The launch of Peercoin, which a lot of people don't know, is that he pre-announced it on Bitcoin Talk 9 days prior to releasing the code. And even more than that, rather than just release the code and start off on mining it from block 1, he said there would be a 5-minute period that he would wait for the code to be released, and then the actual chain would start. So it was delayed. The chain was delayed by 5 full minutes, so everybody could download, compile, and get their miners going ahead of time. And then he would have been in the same camp as everybody else to start mining the coin. So you had a 9-day notice, a 5-minute download to compile and get running. I have seen very few coins have a fair release or launch ever.
So is this the birthday of the mining or the announcement?
This is the birth date of the blockchain when it first released or got launched. It was 2012, August 19th, but actually August 20th in UTC time.
4 years is it's amazing to think about the fact that we've been in crypto over 4 years. All of us here, if we know about Peercoin, have been over in crypto for over 4 years.
And to be honest, for marketing reasons, Peercoin has made a lot of errors and mistakes. One of the few things that we did is because it has such a strong community, Peercoin went and created its own forum. So the bulk of the discussions on Peercoin never make it to Bitcoin Talk. Very few. There is a Bitcoin Talk thread, but it's not constantly getting activity. So it gives the illusion that Peercoin has disappeared. It's a very strange problem that, we don't need really a lot of help on the technology as far as securing the blockchain goes, but we do need to get a lot more community members involved on doing things like we're doing today. This is the first celebration that I know of where Peercoin really freaked out and did something special, and it took years to do it. So that's not right.
Well, I'll say this, it all started to come together because of you. So you are the person who is pushing forward with this, but the community has obviously backed you and supported you along the way, man. And that's very important. And the reason why I tell you guys that if you post this stuff to Steemit and you guys want to do hangouts like this is because you guys all know most of the stuff that you do for a blockchain when you hold tokens, it's pro bono, baby. You're doing it because you love it. And if you are doing it for money, you're probably going to be ending up pretty upset. But at the same time, those people are the ones who you want to give resources to. The people who would do something pro bono are the ones who are going to tend to not let the money get in the way of the actual vision. So if you give them the money, well, guess what they're going to do? They're going to build the damn vision. So I want to let you know that if you guys are interested in bringing your community together to let everybody know what's going on, this is an extremely important thing that you guys could do. You could have your own Peercoin hangouts and record them and post them, and I will get people to upvote them because this stuff is very important for all of crypto. We need to help the people who sacrifice and bust their butts to show that, hey, we exist, we have a vision, and this is what the vision is, and to be transparent about it along the way. All of these things are extremely valuable to our end goals, and we all are sharing very similar end goals. So you'll never see me, if you guys give me the ability to do so, I will definitely be trying to support what you guys are doing in at least the ways that I can within my own limited means. But I will definitely say that if you guys post this stuff to Steemit, like I noticed the one that you posted about Sonny King, it wasn't very long ago. It was almost $100. So this is something that I'm sure you, Intelliguy, have probably sacrificed quite a bit. It might not be, a stack of $100 bills on your desk, but it helps. It's something that can help you push forward and actually help growing the community, or at least getting those active people who otherwise might not come on and let people know they exist, incentivizing them to come on and do so. There's a lot of opportunity here, and I think that we can work some things out to help.
Well, a lot of the Peercoin community probably doesn't even know who I am, so I should probably come up with my number sign introduce you post. I'm a very personal friend of PPCMan. I'm also a lurker on the Peercoin Talk forum. I've read through all of the stuff. I don't post on there. I don't have an account on, but I keep following, and PPCMan and I talk on a regular basis. One of the things about it, and in fact, it's bothering me that he's not even here right now. I don't know what's going on with his internet, but hopefully he comes back soon. But I encouraged him to get out here and start talking on the Mumble, because I've been on the Mumbles before, and I know what a valuable resource it is. He's personally taking more of a stance like Sonny, where he maintains his anonymity, and we saw what happened with all the Satoshis that were coming out from the press media and stuff like that. That is media attention that Sonny does not need. He doesn't need people chasing him. If he has built a technological blockchain that actually is going to go somewhere significant and compete with fiat, he needs to maintain his privacy on that. But that doesn't mean that the government and different things like that don't really understand the benefit of crypto will tend to try to take down whatever they don't understand or that they feel is in competition with. I myself have stood up and talked, and I told PPCMan I would do that for him. And so that's why you're probably going to hear a lot more from me than him. But him and I, our minds think alike as far as that goes. And basically, we research stuff together. So that's kind of why he wanted me to put it on steemit and go ahead and talk on the channel.
So he's kind of been like a guru type of friend out of the PPC community. Did you learn a lot about PPC from him?
Yeah, he's the one that introduced me to it. I was still chasing Bitcoin, and I kept telling him that Bitcoin was where all the money was going, and that's where he should pay attention to. And he kept telling me that I had to really research Peercoin, and it wasn't easy. There's a lot to learn about Peercoin. I mean, it was just the other day that he was telling me that he just learned something new about Peercoin, and that's after 4 years. And because it's open source, and I know he's not a programmer, and neither am I, people say, well, just look at the code, look at the code. I would say about 200 altcoins based off of Peercoin that have forked it still don't understand the code. Yet some of the business use cases of Peercoin are becoming evident now. You know, as Peercoin goes through its block discussion about block sizes, talking about centralization, there was some posts there that, oh my God, 51% of the hash power on Bitcoin is in, you know, these two pools and soon to be one. All of these things that Sunny planned are rising now. And we haven't even we're just seeing the beginning of it. So as time goes on, more and more people are going to be like, now what do we do? And Peercoin is going to get a second look. And they're going to go, you know what? There is a lot that this chain could be providing for a lot of other blockchains and a lot of other transactional currencies. We kind of gapped it, missed it. And Hans of Robeers, who also is a brilliant guy, looked at Peercoin and said, I'm going to build something that needs to be built, and I need to find the best chain to do it for my purpose that's going to outlive a lot of the other stuff. And he was smart to do that. So, you know, I've lost a lot of money in crypto trading. I was with Opal, which is now dead. I was reading a post on steemit yesterday about Cinnamon Coin or whatever, where the developer basically threw up his hands and said, I've had enough of this coin. I'm going to go watch a movie. There's been a lot of carnage in the crypto world, and Peercoin has lasted through all of that. And if people will just learn that if we were to concentrate our efforts on full technologies that exist that may be misunderstood and gravitate towards some of those, together we can go a lot further.
Building Voltron, baby. That's what I will always say, and I agree with you 100%, man. It's one of those things where when people's minds come together, have you guys ever seen the TED Talk where the guy talks about ideas having sex?
No, but I think that paints a picture right away.
Yes, it certainly catches people's eyes whenever I say it. But yeah, it was a great talk about precisely this, when, you know, working together and how these ideas, when they're allowed to express these various ideas, that some of the coolest inventions in history have come from the melding of multiple ideas that were expressed and then assimilated and then utilized to build something completely paradigm shifting. You know, these types of things happen, and it's because of us coming together to communicate. And it's so powerful, man. So powerful.
I think I can address what Pepperino is saying, which Sunny, if he's still here, will be observing. Yes, it's true. There is a lot of things named Bitcoin something, .cpp, and different Bitcoin-related references. Sunny has made it very clear that he has no problem still forking Bitcoin. What he does, and it's kind of actually ingenious, but not generally appreciated by the community at large. People don't see the development action that they see on other coins, and there's a reason. Sunny King purposely trails behind Bitcoin's development to see what new features and stuff actually come out, how it handles the load tests and stuff like that before he incorporates it into Peercoin. He's very surgical on what he changes, so that it gives more robust and stability to the actual changes of the chain itself. And that's why we don't have troubles that often will do. He doesn't introduce bugs into the core. We have another wallet, it's called Pure Unity or something. It had its own trouble. We did step on one little problem, but was cleared up right away by Sunny. But in general, yes, our code does match Bitcoin's a lot, but we're always a few releases behind on that kind of stuff until it's a proven situation. Now, I'm putting words into his mouth, but I don't know if I said it right.
Pepperino said, "Oh, stop begging to get rid of it. Makes perfect sense. I just worried about the branding stupidness." You know, it is interesting that you bring that up, Intelliguy, because I guess what you're saying really is that Sonny is letting Bitcoin test a lot of these things out and then adapting Peercoin based on what lessons he learns from what Peercoin developers do figure out.
Yes, and I'll lay one on you. PPCMan wrote the other day that either Satoshi Nakamoto or Sonny King are indeed the same person. I'm bringing this up, it's a taboo subject, but I'm going to do it on the celebration. Satoshi Nakamoto or Sonny King are the same person or related to each other or just have the same brain and like Siamese twins because they have the same mindset and foresight of what future carry. Now, I know Satoshi moved on to go to some other project. We never found out where those were. I'm not saying it's Peercoin, but it could have been Peercoin. And the point here is that it just blows your mind when you think of it, that the two different projects are very complement to each other in different ways. So I'll just leave you with that. You have your own speculation. I have mine. I just shared it.
I mean, when you look at the parallels, it's possible, man. I can't say that it's not a plausible option to say that you're not being rational when you say that. And of course, I doubt that Sonny's going to stand up and say, "My name is Robert Woodford and I live in Connecticut," or, you know. So he's probably just going to sit there, regardless of whether you're right or wrong, and just kind of smile because that's his own secret.
Well, to be fair to Sonny, in an interview he was asked, "Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?" And he said, "I am not Satoshi Nakamoto." And then I think in brackets, it was not anymore. But don't chase the guy. Leave him alone. He's doing great work. And we don't need to know if that is the case at all. Right?
I will say that it is interesting to think that, no, I am not him because I chose another name is definitely a possibility because he answered it truthfully, but there could have been some conditions on there.
Well, the point is sometimes those that don't want to be anonymous, I encourage you not, or don't need to be anonymous, don't, right? Get up and speak. I'm one of them. I don't need to be anonymous. I'm speaking. There's a lot more people that are just have stage fright or don't want to be in the spotlight. And their spotlight is aiming all over the place now these days. So it doesn't really matter. It's not just one or two people talking anymore. There's tens and dozens and over 100 different people now. It's hard to pay attention to any one particular person. The crypto space is becoming decentralized so vast that these hangouts now is a free-for-all for anyone.
Yep. And the thing is, if they've got a community backing them because they've sacrificed and busted their asses, and because of all that, people have witnessed them doing that. And when people witness you consistently trying to work to try to build something, they are willing to participate. They're willing to step up and say, "Yes, I'm part of this." They're willing to trust you. And whenever that happens, that is when the real value is in those people. Because those are the people who elevate an entire community and bring all these things together in ways that seem otherwise like it might not be possible. But it just so happens that because these people care so much, it eventually falls into place. And I think that the fact that you guys have this community that is bringing your force to bear on here, like you're showing people we exist and we are really caring about this project, I think that helps you in that quote unquote free for all where anybody can join up. Because if you post something about Peercoin giving an update on a Hangout, well, guess what? If you reach out to your community and you say, and you have a pretty big community, and you say the RSVP thread, you're going to be pretty much guaranteed to have a good spot if you've got a big community who's supporting you. That's the way that we do it, and that's the reason we do it. And I greatly appreciate the fact that you guys represent such a quality community and cryptocurrency and people who really care about blockchain technology in general, because without people like you guys, it's a lot blander cryptocurrency world that will eventually be controlled by Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan and HSBC and all these banks we don't trust. So give the power of this currency to the people, and that's what you guys are helping do.
You know what was really interesting that SentinelRV said to us today was, and it hit me like a wet fish in the face. He said Bitcoin's blockchain is at 8 gigabytes, and Peercoin, I think if I heard him right, is only 400 megs, which means we're less than a gigabyte after 4 years.
So you guys are creeping up on Bitcoin then.
Put it this way, I can't even download a Bitcoin wallet and then get it to sync from Genesis block till now without coming back in 2 weeks.
Yeah. The only way you can do it is to download it. But if you let it sync, man, you're looking at, yeah, I understand.
So figure most people could download megs. I mean, you can download a movie, it's 400 megs. So that's plausible to sync from Genesis. Nobody talks about the centralization of Bitcoin when most people can't download. They have to use light wallets or blockchain info or different things like that. So Bitcoin is like a bloated bear, and it's got the de facto standard right now, but I don't see it holding on de facto standard. The longer time goes on, the worse it gets at doing it.
Yeah, and the more that the consensus that the community has to reach becomes important, and the more that you're seeing those divisions and fracturing in that community, because one thing that you notice in Bitcoin is that there are definitely different camps on how Bitcoin is going to move forward. And the danger is there that if they cannot find the answers or come to a consensus on the solution, that they're going to fracture the community potentially and have two competing philosophies that all want to own the Bitcoin brand. And it's going to cause some real chaos in my mind if that does happen. And that consensus is one of the biggest things, right? Like that's why you see ETH and ETH Classic, for example. You know, these are very similar types of things. Like the consensus between the community is very important, and being able to scale and do the things that it needs to do, those are going to be all very important delineators to see that these are going to be the cryptocurrencies of the future or not.
I'll give you one example. Flew into Vancouver, BC in Canada there to go to the world's first Robecoin Bitcoin ATM. And when I got there, it was ridiculous because I wanted to sell some Bitcoin. Apparently, they were hitting a hard block on Bitcoin where the last 3 blocks came in too early. So they had a 1 confirmation wait, and they've changed it now to as high as 6 confirmations on Bitcoin. Now, if you're waiting for a Bitcoin block, 6 blocks is actually a long time. So there was a movement, like whenever there's a bell or an ICO and the transactions flood Bitcoin's network, it lags the block. And when there's too many blocks in too short of a space, the transactions can't fit all into the next block. So it takes time, and they can't release blocks too fast. So the difficulty goes up. Now that Bitcoin is halved, the difficulty requires a lot more hash power when that happens, which slows things. So you go to a Bitcoin ATM, you're sitting in a cafe for an hour and a half to get your money out of the machine.
Yeah, which is not going to happen if you want mass appeal. Right.
So these other technologies like BitShares are going to help. Peercoin can carry some of the load of some of these transactions. For instance, Peercoin has a 0.01 transaction fee that gets burned. And people say, well, if Peercoin ever gets high in value, that 0.01 is going to have to be changed because it's going to be way too expensive to transact. The answer is depends on what you're transacting. You're transacting 5 when Peercoin is a high value. Yes, it's going to be expensive. But if you're moving $2,000, that is a shot in the dark as far as the cost goes, depending on the thing. And that can be changed and tweaked later. But it means that Peercoin should only be moving large volume.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I look forward to seeing what you guys do and keep me updated. These are the types of things that I foam at the mouth about, is to see the various communities and their efforts to build something of value. And I would love to hear more about this stuff in the future. So let us know if there's anything else that's going on, or if you guys would like to work with us in any way, or if you guys would like to join up and talk about something, or if you guys want to have your own hangouts and and just get some support, let me know, man, and let us know. Join us every Friday or whenever you feel like you would like to. Is there anything else that you guys would like to cover?
Yes. Open your browser and you go to peercoin.chat and you can appear in the Rocket chat. Please join us at the Peercoin chat and the Peercoin talk.org forums. And we wish to thank Fuzzy, yourself, the entire Bitcoin community. Let's give a few words to Sonny. I see he's still here. And say, Sonny, after 4 years in your hard work, it's a thankless job. I know that you own a lot of Peercoin, but if you do, you haven't. People said that you might have sold it a long time ago. Peercoin did hit $7. You loaded then, you didn't. You could have introduced all kinds of bugs into the code. You haven't done that. You really believe in what you've created, and we are impressed by it. It means you're actually a really decent person, and I respect that. Is there anything you could say to the community for those of us who hold on, knowing what you've created, and we just sometimes need to hear from you on what kind of things you're hoping for from us, because we don't hear from you a lot.
Sonny says, thanks, Intelliguy. I'm quite proud with what Peercoin achieved, and more people begin to realize the impact of POS, which is proof of stake, brings to cryptocurrency technology. Do you have anything to say to him, Intelliguy?
Well, I do acknowledge that energy is something the world is always suffering a shortage of. And we can always get more energy. It becomes more expensive, but worse than that, it requires a lot more pollution, if you will, to create, or dangerous ways of creating it, even for cleaner technologies. You're either mowing down forests and putting up solar panels to get hydro, or nuclear reactors. They're reactivating them in Japan right now and stuff. Excessive use of power isn't necessary, as Sonny. So not only is he doing something that is cheaper to the actual users of Peercoin, he's doing something that's better for the earth in general. So even if other technologies like BitShares, which uses witnesses and stuff like that, it's a form of a stake, because you have to be a stake witness to be respected to earn your ranking. Proof of stake has given birth to other technologies, and at the same time, it's going to show that proof of work is actually unnecessary, other than for a short time, like coin distribution and stuff like that. So I just want to thank him for creating a truly green way of doing things, and I thank him for that.
Here, Sonny says, it's not just for Earth, though. I think it opens up the cryptocurrency ecosystem, bringing down the barrier for creating and running new blockchains.